Please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Orden, Mack, Bernardino, Druyan, and Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any comments by the Commissioners this morning?
I do have two, actually. Thank you. First, I just want to report to my fellow Commissioners I had a very productive meeting last week with Todd Dickey, who's the Senior Vice President at USC, and Chief Green and Commander Scott. I see Chief Green in the audience. It was just a discussion about the continuing successful efforts between the department and the university in coordinating responses and planning efforts to reduce crime. And I commend the department for the work that's going into that. It's a huge amount of work, but it's clearly paying off, and I could tell from the meeting how productive it was. So I thank them very much for that. And the second was I had the opportunity over the weekend to attend a holiday party for the Gay Police Officers Association. Was happy to see the LAPD well represented. It's an organization of officers from throughout the state, a variety of different departments and municipalities and counties, and it was good to see the LAPD well represented, and I enjoyed that too. Thank you.
I just noticed my microphone is way over here. I think yes, it is a time of holiday parties, and I did have the opportunity to spend some informal time with the Office of Inspector General at its party as well, and there are many more to come, I know. A report of the Chief of Police, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Of particular note, last week I attended the magnet school graduation at our Manchester facility. Ms. Weintraub was there, as well as all of our staff. It was a really magnificent event that highlights a program that you're going to hear a lot more about today, so I won't go into it further, just that I was honored to be there and very impressed by the young men and women who have taken advantage of the program. Also, I wanted to remind the public, I know the Commissioners are well aware of this, Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 16th, will be our cadet graduation at the Galen Center. It's a spectacular event that would make anybody feel good about their city to go and participate and to watch. So I encourage anybody to attend that. On to my report on crime. As we get into the first week of December, we begin to see what our year-end totals are going to look like. Right now, we are up as compared to last year in homicides 2.5%. We're up incrementally in rapes 4.3%. Robberies are down 10.8%. Aggravated assaults are down 5.9%. Gives a total violent crime picture as compared to last year of minus 7.9%. And if you compare it to 2010, it's a minus 14.7%. And the aggregate reduction, just for your information, from 2009 is about 24%. Property crime, still struggle with that. The two major categories, or the two high-value categories, burglary and grand theft auto, are both down. However, burglary, theft from vehicle, and personal theft are up. Gives us an aggregate property crime increase compared to last year of 0.4%. Compared to 2010, it's a minus 3.8% reduction. All that combines to give us a 1.2% reduction in Part 1 crime as compared to last year, and a 5.9% reduction as compared to 2010. So steady incremental progress. I wanted to highlight something that Commissioner Orton brought to my attention. There's a Wall Street Journal article that lays the credit for the reduction in homicide rate over the last number of years to increased benefit of medical care. And while I agree that medical care is certainly a factor, I point out that in Los Angeles, particularly for the last 2 years, It's not just the number of homicides that are down, it's the number of aggravated assaults, which are down at a higher rate than homicides, and it's the number of shooting victims and shots fired events that are down also to a greater extent even than homicide. So while I do acknowledge that medical care is significant and rapid response and rapid treatment is very significant, that's not the entire issue. And to highlight that, shots fired in the city are down 7.3%. The number of victims shot are down 7.5% this year as compared to last. We continue to do quite well in gang crime, 14% reduction in gang homicides as compared to 2011. Total gang crime down 10.4% as compared to 2011, and 23.2% reduction as compared to 2010. So, as I've said for most of the year, our strong point has been our reduction in gang crime, which is a crime that can be significantly affected by smart policing. Assaults on police officers are down this year. Major assaults are down 36%. Officer-involved shootings are down 37%. Personnel statistics, sworn personnel on payroll, we have 9,893. We have 48 recruits who are not yet on payroll in the academy. Reserves, we have 283 level 1s, 20 level 2s, 130 level 3s, 1,014 volunteers. We have 2,888 civilian personnel with the department, and we are suffering 459 civilian vacancies. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Chief, and thank you for highlighting those numbers in terms of the amount of assaults that are down, as well as shots fired, as well as the OIS. Obviously, the Wall Street Journal article was a national article. It also was using figures from 2009 and 2010. But it certainly didn't reflect, I think, what we've been seeing here in Los Angeles, and what we've been seeing has been an overall reduction. We have also been seeing a great improvement in our medical treatment, and that's a very, very good thing as well. It is time for a report from the Inspector General. Executive Director, I'm sorry.
Morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. Very briefly, next week, December 18th, will be our last Commission meeting of the year. We'll be dark for the Christmas holiday, December 25th, and then we'll be dark New Year's Day, January 1st. So our next meeting after next week will be January 8th of 2013. That concludes my report. January 8th of 2013.
And now the report from the Inspector General.
Thank you, Madam President. Commissioners, I have nothing to report this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Commissioners,
Number 5 is information only, the filed items. We have noise variance permits on file, 3 of those, which are laid out in more detail in the agenda. We also have special event permits on file, submitted for the period ending December 7th, 2012, and those 2 are set out in more detail in the agenda. And I do know today we have 2 very exciting, wonderful presentations. May I turn this over to the Executive Director?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, members of the Commission, Chief Beck, and the members of the community and the Department that are present. Today is the awarding of the Police Commission Unit Citation to the Police Academy, Magnet Schools, and Police Orientation Preparation Program, and the personnel assigned to that for their outstanding and innovative performance in the community. And I'll call forward the names of the people, and as you come forward, if you could just turn around and face the audience, and then after I read the citation, the Commission will come down, and individually you will be called over to the podium area to receive your individual award. So, with that, I'd like to proceed to the podium, and then turn and face the audience. Dr. Luann Pinnell, Police Training and Education. Lieutenant Deborah Egger, Office of Administrative Services. Sergeant John Amendola, Training Division. Sergeant Deborah Maston, Police Training and Education. Sergeant Deborah Maston, Police Training and Education. Sergeant Valerie Geddes, Administrative Investigations Division. Sergeant Valerie Geddes, Administrative Investigations Division. And I do not know, but we'll confirm if Police Officer Cynthia Denstein, Training Division, is present. Police Officer Cynthia Denstein. Police Officer Joel Frias, Training Division. Police Officer Joel Frias. Police Officer Oscar Villanueva, Training Division. Police Officer Oscar Villanueva, Training Division. And I don't know if Police Officer Mercy Crenshaw, Training Division, is present or not. Mercy Crenshaw. Police Officer Stephen Erickson, Training Division. Police Officer Stephen Erickson. Police Officer Richard Hunt, Training Division. Police Officer Richard Hunt. Police Officer Jan Miller, Van Nuys area. Police Officer Jan Miller. Reserve Officer Roberta Weintraub, Police Training and Education. Officer Roberta Weintraub, Police Training and Education. Mr. Jeffrey Burgess, Director, Police Orientation Preparation Program, Los Angeles Unified School District. And Mr. Charles Buck Stapleton, Chair, Behavioral Social Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles College. West Los Angeles College. West Los Angeles College. It's my honor now to read the unit citation. It's my honor now to read. The goal of the Police Academy Magnet Schools and the Police Orientation Preparation Program is to provide early training for a law enforcement career through expertly designed curriculum, training, experience, and leadership. These programs have resulted in highly qualified and disciplined professionals entering law enforcement as soon as their age permits. The Police Academy Magnet Schools operate in 5 Los Angeles high schools and 1 middle school. During a normal school year, the officers coordinate and participate in over 70 activities at each of their respective schools. The involved officers have anywhere from 140 to 400 students assigned to them at Los Angeles Unified School District campuses. These select officers take an active role in guiding, coaching, and leading their students, while also providing much-needed direction, mentoring, and counseling. A daily function of each instructor includes physical training, inspection and drill, classroom instruction, and of course the corresponding administrative duties. This special type of teaching requires exceptional management as well as interpersonal skills. Remarkably, these functions are in addition to after-school and weekend activities as well as summer vacation programs and event planning. Their work has led to a program with a 95% graduation rate and California standard test scores exceeding 830 points at one magnet school. The success of the program has garnered interest at the national and state level. Notably, Reseda High School is regularly visited by staff from school districts around the country who wish to view an example of a model program. The California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training is evaluating the magnet school program as a model to develop a statewide plan to include police thematic instructional methods into all schools from grades 6 through 12. The Police Orientation Preparation Program given at the Amundsen Recruit Training Center is also run in collaboration with the Los Angeles Unified School District. The program began in the fall of 2010 as a single semester program away from normal classroom studies at the Amundsen Recruit Training Center for college and high school seniors. This program provides students the opportunity to learn about the Los Angeles Police Department and law enforcement and gives them a unique perspective while completing courses at a police training facility. The Police Orientation Preparation Program immediately grew into a 2-semester program and ultimately blossomed into a fully accredited 2-year criminal justice program. The unique combination of these 2 programs has been acknowledged nationwide as a successful model to bridge the recruitment gap and develop outstanding law enforcement professionals. This proven success is the result of the dedicated individuals here today, and they are most deserving of the Police Commission unit citations. If I may ask the commissioners now to step down to the front also, and then again I'll call the individual names of the awardees, and if the awardee would step over to where the commissioners are, and we'll then take their pictures. 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 Dr. Luann Pinnell, Police Training and Education. Dr. Luann Pinnell, Police Training and Education. Dr. Luann Pinnell, Police Training and Education. Lieutenant Deborah Edgar, Office of Administrative Services. 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 Lieutenant Deborah. Sergeant John Amendola, Training Division. 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 Sergeant John Amendola. Sergeant John Amendola. Sergeant Deborah Maston, Police Training and Education. 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 Sergeant Valerie Geddes, Administrative Investigations Division. 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 Sergeant Valerie Geddes. Police Officer Joe Frias, Training Division. 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 Police Officer Oscar Villanueva, 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 Training Division. Police Officer Oscar Villanueva. Police Officer Stephen Erickson, Training Division. 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 Police Officer Richard Hunt, 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 Training Division. Reserve Officer Roberta Weintraub, Police Training and Education. 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 Officer Roberta Weintraub, Police Training and Education. Mr. Jeffrey Burgess, Director, Police Orientation Preparation Program, Los Angeles Unified School District. 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 Mr. Charles Buck Stapleton, Chair, Behavioral Social Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles Science and Public Safety Training Academy, West Los Angeles Science and Public Safety Training Academy. That concludes the presentations. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like to. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like to. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like to. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and say some words, if you'd like. Commissioners in Chief, if you'd like to come back and
Again, on behalf of our whole commission, I would like to thank each and every one of you and all the other people who have made this possible. I was not aware it had grown as much as it had since its inception, and that's extremely exciting. To have those kinds of test scores in even just one school. Test scores is absolutely remarkable. Just one school, and to see the growth, and also to follow those students as they take their place in the work world, whether it's in law enforcement or not, whether it's discipline, in the sense of giving back to the community. And I just applaud each and every one of you for what I know is often a great deal of volunteer time, and not always easy. I just want to thank you all, and not always easy.
Thank you, Commissioner, for allowing me to speak. The great good for the entire community that is served by increasing the chances and opportunities for our youth cannot be overstated. There really is nothing more noble or finer that any of us can do. And the Magnet program and the POP program are perfect examples of that. And I thank all of you for making a difference in young people's lives. I think there's really nothing better that any of us can do. So thank you. There's really nothing better than any of us.
We have our next presentation, Madam President, Commissioners. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce retired Police Officer 3, Dennis Denoy from the Los Angeles Police Department, who currently is a volunteer with the employer support of the Guard and Reserve. Mr. Denoy will talk about the efforts of the Los Angeles Police Protective League in supporting our men and women of the department while they are on military active duty. Mr. Denoy.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Chief Beck. Good morning, sir. President. Good morning, Chief Beck. It's a pleasure to be here. This morning, I'm here to represent the Department of Defense. And we'd like to recognize the efforts of the Los Angeles Police Protective League in unison with the Los Angeles Police Department. They work as a team to support LAPD's estimated 500-plus Guard and reservists that are both sworn and civilian that not only protect and serve the citizens of Los Angeles, but also protect and serve every citizen of the United States in uniformed services around the world. First, I'd like to introduce the California Department of Defense's Executive Director to give you just a brief overview of the Department of Defense's program. And again, out of respect to the distinguished gathering here, we will keep this as brief as possible. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, Chief, is it okay if I don't use the microphone? Commissioners, I'm going to talk with my hands because I volunteered here to be about 5 years ago. On behalf of the Honorable Secretary Rice from Office of Defense Reserve Affairs, Mr. J. Rice from Office of Defense Reserve Affairs, Major General retired Ron Young, who is our National Executive Director and our Chairman, Ron Young, who is our California and our Chairman. Thank you for all you do for our citizens. California has the distinction of having 63,000 Guard and Reserve affairs. 63,000. That's not including any of your active duty. We also have about 15,000 any of your active duty. And you got to remember, these citizen soldiers have the same standards as the active component do, but they do it 1 week as the active component do. Over 70% have already been deployed once. Over 40% have second and third deployments. So these are really heroes. These are warriors. They protect the streets when they're in uniform for LAPD. When they're wearing the uniform, they're protecting our great nation. And we're very proud for all of them. Our position in ESG, we're very proud for all of them. Our position, Uniform Services Employment Reemployment Rights Act. Our caseload is starting to come down. About 4 years ago, we had a caseload is starting to come down. About 3,000 inquiries, and we're down to about 250 cases. What we do is we do USERA law, protect those citizen warriors when they're deployed so that their job, when they come back, is taken care of. Now, we don't go beat up anybody, we can't twist any arms, that we don't want to make sure those service members that are out fighting the war, that we don't want to make sure those serve in the United States, their jobs are here, they're taken care of when they come back. We also have a quite extensive awards program. We also people knew LAPD was a awards program. People knew LAPD was pretty awesome. Only 15 companies across the country are selected every year. And LAPD is a proud recipient. This year, we've already got about 40 nominations for LAPD. Although you're not eligible to win because one for LAPD, you can't win eligible. But that's good to know that your service members are still out there saying, hey, I have pride in my force, and I have enough faith in my department. I want them to be recognized. And I have enough faith in my department. I want them to be recognized. I have enough faith. President Obama a few years ago said, I want my veterans back to work. I want my heroes to come back to jobs. So now we've got the Heroes to Hire program. We're helping our service members when they come back, getting trained in resume writing, interview skills, and getting them back in the workforce. Resume writing, interview skills, and getting them back in the work. Bring a lot to the table, Commissioner. You guys have the best of the best. I have the privilege of being out there talking to LAPD, LA Fire, city employees, and they speak very highly, and they represent you very well, not only here in the United States, but with their Guard and Reserve units and overseas when they're with their Guard and Reserve. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us here, and thanks for all you do. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you, Pat. And real, just on that Freedom Award note, there is a sustainment award, and we will be looking at the LAPD for a sustainment award. They just came out with that a couple of years ago, and it's to recognize those who stay in the fight. It was real easy back after 9/11 for companies and departments to stand up and be proud and wave the flag, but 12, 13 years later, hard economic times, the weak ones fell to the rear, and the leaders rise to the top. And so that's you are being looked at for that award in the near future. And also they hired a Heroes program, which is where you try to get program in the armed forces to get good employment when they get discharged. LAPD is registered in that program. And the LAPD is registered in that program. A full-time military recruitment team that participates, and a full-time military recruitment team that participates. But today we're here to recognize the Los Angeles Police Protective League, and they are truly a partner with the Los Angeles Police Department. They want the same thing that the chief and his command staff want. They want LAPD rank and file, sworn in civilian, and again, they don't represent the civilians, but their efforts flow over and make sure that they get protected also. The federal law USERRA has so many unique pieces to it. It covers every aspect of employment, and it's very easy for an employer to make a mistake or a misstep or someone down the chain of command to do it against the chain of command's wishes. And so sometimes when those happen, the league has stepped up, and behind the scenes has worked very hard to help the department do the right thing at the right time. They've also been very supportive of the Los Angeles Police's military liaison program. We were one of the first in the nation to have such a program. I was lucky enough to be selected to be the first military liaison officer, and I remember to this day I was told to get up and give an impromptu speech, which I was just as nervous then as I am now. And I remember distinctly Chief Beck, I believe maybe he was a captain at the time, sitting in the audience behind me with the mayor and police commissioners and other city distinguished personnel, and we unveiled what the program was going to be, and that program took the department to the moon on that. And when I got to my office for the first day, sat down at an empty desk with an empty, with a blank computer. One of my first visitors was the president of the Police Protective League, and Tim Sands at the time. He came up, introduced himself to me, which I hadn't known him for a while, shook my hand and said, "Tag, you're it." He said, "The league's been doing a lot of things, for the department, helping them do what's right. But now that you're in position, we're going to let the department do what's right first. We're here to support you in a reserve status. If you need our help, we're here to help you." And they did that for my whole 4 years as military liaison, and they've done that. I've been now retired 5.5 years. I get calls and reports from time to time from folks, and they're continuing to step up and lead the charge whenever possible. They do it physically, emotionally, financially. They do what it takes to take care of their employees. And for that, the Department of Defense has 2 awards that we'd like to present today. One is called the 7 Seals, and you'll see the award. It has 7 logos of the Armed Forces Guard and Reserve. And the other one's called Above and Beyond. And 2 of the league directors stand above and beyond in their specific support for the Guard and Reservists. So without further ado, I'll call my wife forward, who's also an ESGR volunteer. My wife, Barbara, who's also an ESGR volunteer. My wife, Barbara, who's also an ESGR recipients up. All at one time, read the award and present them.
And as a retired principal of an elementary school, I don't need, as a retired principal. At this time, we'd like to call up, I'd like to call up, Karina Lee, Vice President. Karina Lee, Vice President couldn't make it today. I couldn't be able to honor her in person, but we will be presenting her equal thing and honor her. Ramon Espinoza, will be presenting her equal thing. Mark Crone Espinoza, Craig Lawley, John, Mama, I believe, could not make it again today. John, Mama, I believe, could not make it again. Peter Rekovich, and Paul Weber. Peter Rekovich.
As we're coming forward, also with us today as the staff member of the ESGR, Mrs. Almasy. Mrs. Almasy is also the wife of an LAPD officer who is also a Guard reservist, and she has endured several deployments here at home and has been the recipient of both the League's support and the Chief's and the Department's support while her husband was off serving. And he's a Sergeant Major in California here, and Command Sergeant Major probably in California. He's in the top 10 as far as the seniority. He's in the top 10 as far as the seniority.
Okay, at this time I'd like to read
top 10 as far as the seniority.
Okay, at this time I'd like to read
top 10 as far as the seniority.
Okay, at this time I'd like to read what it says supports men and women in America, the National Guard and Reserve. So at this time, we'd like to present Tyler. So at this time, Ramon Espinoza.
As I mentioned, in addition, we have the Above and Beyond Award going to Karina Lee and Paul Weber. They have always stood at the forefront of protecting our employees serving the Guard Reserve. Always 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 protecting our employees serving the Guard Reserve. As a parting comment, I'd like to mention Karina Lee was contacted by myself about 8 weeks ago on about a 3-day notice to attend high-level Department of Defense training in the federal law USERRA. And with the support of the President's Protective League, they cleared her schedule immediately, and she attended a 3-day course down at the Joint Forces Base Los Alamitos, and her certificate is enclosed in her award. We thank you for all your time and attention, and we appreciate your support and support the League's teamwork and take care of our Guard Reserve.
And we thank you very, very much. We thank you very, very much. It's great recognition and well-deserved, and again showing how much volunteerism there is in this department, and it could not be in a better cause. Thank you again, Helen. It could not be in a better cause. Thank you.
All right, we are going to now go to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move we approve consent agenda item 7
All those in favor? Approved. All those in favor? On the regular agenda, I think we will be hearing the verbal presentation, an update from the CPAP representatives from the Southwest area. That's A. We have a department's report, B, relative to the modified procedures for immigration and customs enforcement retainer requests, and have C, which we'll want to hear the department's report relative to the department's risk manager report. I know we will want to hear also the department's report relative to the vehicle pursuit inspection, and department's report relative to the response to operations in South Bureau gang enforcement, the performance audit. And is there anything else that we should listen to today? Is there anything else that we should listen to today? Item J, which is the department's report dated December 7th relative to foreign language and telecommunications, relative to foreign language and telecommunications, relative to foreign language and telecommunications, relative to foreign language and telecommunications.
Second.
All those in favor?
Second.
Approved. All those in favor? We will begin with the verbal report from the commanding officer and the vice chair from the Southwest area, and the vice chair commanding officer and the vice chair commanding officer and the vice chair commanding officer and the vice chair commanding officer. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam President, Police Commissioners. Chief.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam President. We're here today to talk about our Community Police Advisory Board's strategic goals for 2012, as well as we move toward 2013 and some of our prior accomplishments in 2012 as well. As many of you know, I've only been in Southwest for less than 90 days now. However, my CPAP co-chair, Mr. Johnny Raines, who's on my left, who's been with the department in terms of the CPAP co-chair capacity for 5 years. On my right is my Community Relations Sergeant, Mark Green, who's also been several years with the Community Relations, in the Community Relations capacity. I'm going to let Mr. Raines talk about a lot of the accomplishments for 2012, but what I'd like to say is upon my arrival to Southwest Division, I'm very impressed of where we are so far, and in talking to Mr. Raines in terms of what we're trying to do and where we're going to move into 2013, I'm also very impressed. The support of the community that I've received upon my arrival there has been tremendous. Mr. Raines' support of me, as well as the police department, is overwhelming, and as we move forward into 2013, I look forward to a lot of the things that I can bring to the Southwest Division, as well as what Mr. Raines' experience and time in Southwest has to bring as well. So without further ado, what I would like to do is let Mr. Raines talk about some of the accomplishments for 2012, some of the goals and strategies that he's implemented over that period of time, and what he's seen in terms of accomplishments in development of the Southwest CPAP co-chair over the past 5 years as co-chair.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Chief. I'll keep it brief. I guess just a kind of an overview of the first aspect of what I think of as significant accomplishments would be what a category that I call community public safety. And in there I talk about the block clubs. And again, through the collaboration that we've had over the past 5 or 6 years with the Urban League, we've been able to sustain and create numerous new block clubs within the area, working with their Neighborhoods at Work programs. We've really been able to see some fantastic results. One of the projects that we worked on extensively is we put together what we call quarterly safety meetings, where there's community, and at different parts of the community, we'll bring in the officers in that community as well. And our most recent one gave the community an opportunity to really sit down and come eye to eye and have dialogue with our Safer Cities unit and identify hotspots or problem locations and actually work on possible solutions. That was a really first, and that was really a good event. I guess one of the other projects which was really enjoyable, I worked with some of the officers that are here, was with the Space Shuttle Endeavor move. And I've kind of put that in our category of community and neighborhood collaboration.
what we were able to do there through my co-chair position in the CPAB, we got together with the 4 neighborhood councils in the area that the endeavor was going to travel through. And we were able to sit down and actually negotiate with the Science Center folks to get some pretty significant achievements and accomplishments within the area that the vehicle traveled through Southwest. And initially, they had planned on coming in and taking down about 300 trees. We were able to sit down and negotiate with them to change that number to just a little bit over 100. And they had to replace each one of the trees they took out with 4. So we're bringing, a lot more environmental impact to the community. We were also able to get them to grant for all of the students that attended schools within 3 blocks of the Endeavor route. They were there on October 31st with all the VIPs in a first and free basis. So that they really feel like it was their event and that they were able to participate in. We also got them to a concession that they're going to trim about $400,000 worth of trees throughout the Southwest community, fix 1,000 linear feet of sidewalk, which adds to a great public safety benefit. Scholarships for 400 kids over the next 5 years to their summer camp program at the Science Center. So I feel like that was really a success, and it was really a good collaborative opportunity for CPAB and the neighborhood councils to work together. And then, as the chief indicated, without doing things for our youth, we're really just kind of spinning our wheels in this whole thing. It's a lot easier to build strong children than it is to fix broken adults. I didn't say that, Frederick Douglass did, but I use it all the time. I mean, our Teen CPAB, that we've had a Teen CPAB for about 3 years now, and we've grown tremendously and had a great deal of success. At our last meeting, we had 31 kids representing 8 schools, and that's fantastic. And we have some of the kids that are in our Teen CPAB right now are cadets. I think a couple of them may actually be graduating in this upcoming graduation. So it's really been a super program. Kids are getting great benefit out of it. They're most exciting projects that this past CPAB Summit, we had a contingent of, I believe, about 10 of our kids that actually participated in the CPAB Summit. So I don't think Harper is the premier Teen CPAB anymore. I think Southwest. We also have a mentoring program where I work with some of the officers in the pro office, where it's a 10-week program, again, in collaboration with the Urban League. They provide us space and help us out with any kind of funds we need. And we take the kids during that 10 weeks through a process of, general counseling, academic counseling, problem solving, problem resolution, and it's been a great success. We teach them some things about, what the world is really like, what the things they need to put their emphasis on in terms of academics, do some counseling with parents as well, and that has shown us some really great results. Over the past year. This was the first year we did it, but like I said, it was a 10-week program and it really worked well. And then lastly, my favorite, my pride and joy, those of you who have been here when I've presented before, is our boot camp program. Last May we had our 10th graduation. We had 48 kids in the program. And as I've said before, it's just an unbelievable program for parents, and we're looking forward to being able to get started with our program again real soon. We have about 60 parents, 60 families on the list waiting for us to get started. And I got to share one success story, and this was about 3.5 weeks ago. I was coming down Jefferson Boulevard, and I saw a young lady that had been in our program about 2 years ago. It was about 11:30, 11:45 in the morning, which is school time. So I saw her, and I was going the opposite direction that she was, so I turned around and pulled over to the curb, and she said, "Before you start, Mr. Ray," I'm a senior at Dorothy now. I have more credits than I need. They allow me to leave school every day by 10:30. That I'm on my way home, or I'm waiting for my mom to pick me up. So leave me alone. I've got all my applications into all the UCs, and I'm going to be continuing on. When this young lady was in our program, she was When this young lady was in, for lack of less complimentary terms, a knucklehead. She wasn't doing well in school. She wasn't doing well at home. A part of our boot camp program is the essay contest that, again, the Urban League provides the prizes for. She won that contest. Prior to that, she'd been failing in school. Her only successes were from antisocial activity. She told me that day when I talked to her, she said, ever since I won that award, I realized I could do positive stuff and get rewarded. Now she's at the top of the class at Dorsey High School and looking forward to attending one of the youth schools. So, you know, I think we do a good job with our youth programs. I think our CPAP does a good job. I mentioned to the captain earlier as we were walking in, with the tremendous number of changes in senior leadership that we've had at our division in the past 12 months. I think we've had 5 captains. But each one of those through the selection process has been the right person. We haven't missed a beat. Things are still going as well as that. That's what we've done the last. That's what we've done the last.
Thank you. And if I can, just in closing, as you can see, I have a very strong partner, a very dynamic partner, and I look forward to, as we move forward to 2013, be able to continue a lot of the programs. As he mentioned, we have at least about 9 youth programs, and youth programs are close to my heart. And as we move forward, especially with our Team CPAP, even when I was in my prior command, we came over to Southwest to look at the prototype to how to build a Team CPAP in my prior command. So the things that they're doing is really displaying leadership, and obviously with my partner and my community relations sergeant, we will continue to do the same as we move into 2013.
Commend the chief and the department for this. I'm new. All this is very new to me. And I'm new. The thing that strikes me so much is not only the enthusiasm I see from the CPAP, but how each CPAP really is unique. Each CPAP is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Is really addressing unique needs of its particular area. Really impressed. One of these groups come in here, I'm more impressed than the last time. So the next guys are really going to have to. So the next guys are really going to really.
I've felt that. And that really is what we see each time. And that really is what we see. Work of the co-chair, the person from the community. We see the co-chair, the person from the community. We see the co-chair, the person from the community. We see the co-chair. Thank you. All right, B, the department's report relative to proposed modified procedures for immigration and customs enforcement detainee request. 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 Immigration and customs enforcement detainee request.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. Good morning, Executive Director, Inspector General, Chief. Assistant Chief Michael Moore, Office of Special Operations Chief, joined today by Commander Scott Krover, Assistant Director of my office, as well as Captain Dave Lindsay, who's the Commanding Officer of Jail Division. We have prepared a report for you. First, I would ask for your indulgence. I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm going to go through this. Hopefully it won't hurt your ears too much. But in this presentation, the report that we've provided to you lays out our rationales to the reason for our request for these modified procedures. The modified procedures in dealing with ICE detainers flows from, first of all, the existence of a program called Secure Communities. ICE, as the federal partner in charge with the enforcement of immigration laws, relies upon the Secure Communities program as its primary engine for the identification and removal of criminal aliens and others who pose a threat to public safety. They define that as a particular, as key to the accomplishment of their mission. In the application of secure communities, however, there's been a number of critics who have pointed out repeated instances of ICE using secure communities to remove individuals held by local law enforcement for low-level petty offenses. These circumstances undermine the confidence and trust of these immigrant communities in relying on local law enforcement to provide for their safety. The Department, in evaluating this, took a number of steps. First of all, in understanding the secure communities as to what its priorities are, the stated ones. Also, in understanding the tenets of secure communities as to the requirements that these detainers impose upon local law enforcement. We sought advice from our Police General Counsel, the City Attorney's Office, to understand if these detainers were in fact requirements, posing a legal obligation on the Department, or something less, such as a request. In addition, we studied the actual application for about 6 months, as indicated in the report, where we monitored each detainer's request that was issued for the underlying charge of the individual as well as the background of the individual, to understand again in the application of secure communities what type of offender was most frequently identified. And again, the report contains the layout of those 6 months of involving some 54,000 plus bookings. Nearly 1,700 detainers were issued, and then the breakdown of the types of offenses and backgrounds of the individuals involved. As we begin to see a pattern or the layout of how secure communities impacted individuals as to the types of offenses and their criminal backgrounds, we formulated proposed criteria. In the midst of this, there has been on the national and state and local arenas much discussion about secure communities. And for those that may be aware, there was a Trust Act, commonly referred to as a state initiative, that was vetoed by the governor, that also sought to impose responsibilities or obligations of local law enforcement in dealing with secure communities. So this has been a subject that has been not only within LAPD and law enforcement, but also within various communities and advocates and stakeholders. As we saw the application of secure communities, we chose a path under the direction of Chief Beck to look to a subset of these requests that dealt with low-level and petty offenses. What has been done up to this point primarily has been responsibilities that would take away the ability to honor a request, but for a subset of sections. We chose a different path, and that was a path that, from a law enforcement standpoint, we felt could strike a better balance, and that was to identify that we would honor detainers on all felonies and on majority of other offenses, and individuals who've had prior criminal conviction for a felony or a documented gang member. However, there would be low-level offenses that we would carve out. In formulating this proposal, we outreach to various number of groups, immigrant right groups and stakeholders in this, meeting also with the mayor's office, meetings that the mayor's office led, as well as meetings that we led with the chief's presence, myself, and other senior staff within LAPD. Individuals such as the ACLU, LA Federation of Labor, TURLA, many other important voices within the various communities. And we discussed and listened and attempted to hear their concerns and, again, strike a balance in the proposal that you have before you. In closing, we are prepared to move forward with the implementation, where beginning in January, we would review each request and look at the underlying charge which an individual is arrested for, the person's background as to whether they've been convicted of a felony in the past or not, and whether or not they are a documented gang member. In instances in which an individual is arrested for a misdemeanor with a bail less than $5,000, with some exceptions, or a vehicle code violation with bail under $2,500 with some exceptions. In the absence of a felony conviction or them being a documented gang member, those requests will not be honored. Each instance in which we would not honor the request, we will notify ICE. We have met with ICE and discussed these protocols. They have a copy of the information you have before you. We will notify them of our intention not to honor their request should they provide specific information regarding the individual, such as the individual being suspected of being involved in human or narcotic trafficking or posing a risk to national security. Then that individual case will be reviewed by Captain Dave Lindsay or Commander Scott Krober, and we will make a decision that we believe is in the best interest of public safety. We will monitor that closely to ensure, again, that there's adherence to the tenets and the idea and the belief that that these revised procedures offer. In closing, we think that this holds an opportunity to reinforce to the community the importance of their trust in us, and that the threshold of these protocols, where they're at, balances the various interests of all the communities of Los Angeles, and we look forward to your approval.
Chief Moore. First, let me begin by... Oh, is this not on? Okay, sorry. Chief Moore, first let me commend the Chief and you for developing this. I think it strikes that appropriate balance. I also believe, based on experience and work that I've done, I think it will enhance trust and respect in the community and make us a more effective law enforcement agency. My concern is if we can do this. I haven't seen the City Attorney's report. In your report, you mentioned that the City Attorney has made an opinion that we can do this. I haven't seen it, and I would like to see it. Secondly, more importantly than me seeing it, I'd like to, I don't know if my fellow commissioners have seen it, but I'd like to get the opinion of a constitutional expert who we have on this commission, a guy who ran the criminal division who we have on this commission, and a former U.S. attorney who we have on this commission, because I think those are very important things, and like I said, I like this policy, but like I said, I don't want to. Like I said, I don't want to. Like I said, second, I don't want to. Nice, but second,
Well, first, as to the confidential attorney-client communication, this is a matter for certainly access to. My apologies that you don't have it yet. Secondly, as to meetings with ICE, senior officials, including Mr. Morris, the director of ICE, their desire is that we would honor all requests. They believe that all requests, that they do apply priorities. But they also acknowledge that many of their detainee requests are issued for what they term repeat border crossings, individuals who have come back and forth to the state of California or to this country, or recent immigrants, those that illegal entries that have come within the last 3 years. These offenses are a particular emphasis that they apply in addition to serious criminal offenses. And what our experience was looking at low-level offenses that were detainers were issued. A number of times the individual may have had earlier border crossings or have been previously reported, or in some instances no such actions, and we could not come to it. They also, however, recognize that the partnership with Los Angeles Police Department and ICE is critical to the safety of Los Angeles and this region, and that partnership remains strong, and that as partners that we will continue to work and integrate our efforts closely of matters of mutual interest, but there will be occasions in which we'll agree where their mission and ours is somewhat different.
Finally, Chief.
Commissioner, and also on the subject of legality, last Tuesday, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the State of California, our Attorney General Pamela Harris opined that this is entirely within the purview of
Thank you, Chief. And I accept you, but I think that I haven't seen that opinion either, and like I said, I haven't seen that opinion.
Some of us haven't. I'm sorry that you didn't have this, but here is the information bulletin that the Attorney General did issue on December 4th, 2012. It is not a full legal opinion, but it is an instruction which does say that it is not a mandatory requirement causing conflict with the federal rules.
Chief, is it my understanding? I think the sheriff has adopted the same policy or something close. The sheriff is that true, or am I mistaken, or something close?
After the issuance of the Attorney General's opinion, and I've had direct discussions with both Lee Baca and with Cameron Harris on this. After the issuance of the City Attorney's Attorney General's opinion, the sheriff stated that he would no longer honor all ICE detainers based upon our actions here, our pending actions here, and that opinion. Now, the exact details of that have not been made.
They don't have details of development.
They have not yet.
Like the chief has here.
We are working with them. We're working with them presently to provide them information as to what we believe is presently to provide them the details.
And our goal is to get some consistency.
Details.
And our goal is to get some consistency.
And our goal is to get some
pending. Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Across the board. That is correct.
Finally, has there been any input from the U.S. Attorney on this?
That is correct.
Finally, has there been any input from the U.S. Attorney?
I've spoken with U.S. Attorney Andre Barat here, U.S. Attorney for this district. They understand our efforts and have made, and they have not, our counsel has made against this. And they have not, our efforts have made against this.
Share the opinion of the city attorney. I think that
Absolutely. I think that's important, as well as the information bulletin sent by I have another question, too. You talk about a bail set at $5,000. Who sets that bail? Is it a uniform bail?
Yes, Madam President, the bail schedule for infractions and misdemeanors by the Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, we reviewed that schedule, looked at the stated bails provided for the various offenses, and wanted to, again, strike a balance as to the nature of the offenses at the various thresholds of bails as they increase. That's why, if you would look to your document, the report, you'll see in the fact sheet on page 3 that page 3 those offenses that are listed 538, those offenses D, E, and G of the Penal Code and others, those bail amounts as an open charge fall below the $5,000 threshold. The key here is that as you look through the various offenses that one can be charged with, there's the professional code, municipal code sections, fish and game, penal code, section. The challenge here is ensuring public safety by not allowing an individual who is poses a risk but has a lesser bail to slip through, if you will. And our efforts here have been to identify those type of offenses, for instance, operating a motor vehicle, or for instance, motor scooter under influence, reckless driving, off-road causing injuries. That's why those were added. Now, once you hit the $5,000 threshold and go higher on the penal code, the nature of the offenses involve weapons, involve violence, involve threats to public safety that we believe that was appropriate thresholds. Same with the vehicle code, and that's why you chose those levels. It was nothing magical. It was a lot of looking through page after page of material and trying to come up with something that would allow a jail detention officer who's faced with this booking charge to quickly, systematically, and predictably identify those that would be subject to this plea.
And uniformly, we would hope, so that it's not within the discretion of the individual person booking. Of the individual person booking.
No, I think the department has done a great deal of analysis analysis and thought, developing policies. I think that there are judgments to be made, but I think you've drawn the line. I think it does provide clear directives to jail personnel, but at the same time, jail personnel, there is an opportunity, if there really is an individual who represents an opportunity, if there really is an individual to analyze the particular circumstances pursuant to a nice request. So I think this is a carefully thought out policy. I mean, there were a lot of analysis that went into this. I know how there were a lot of analysis more Chief Beck. And ultimately, you got to make a judgment about where to draw the line to both enhance public safety and enhance the credibility of the department, but at the same time, protect public safety. And I really do think the department has drawn the appropriate line here. And I really do think the department. So I agree with the judgments. And the department was careful. This was ready to. This analysis has been done, but this was probably waited until after the Attorney General issued her opinion. That this was not her opinion. There is no legal reason why you can't do this. It is up to the discretion of each individual chief. Based on my experience in federal law enforcement, I concur with that judgment. So I favor this policy, and I concur with that judgment. It's very solid. I favor this policy.
It is our intention to monitor this in the coming months. It is going to be very closely each day. Months. We were getting a report as to the chief, myself. We were getting a report. The chain of command will get a report as to detainers that requests that are issued, those that are not honored as to the wrong reason. We'll pay very close attention. I expect, as anything this complex, something's going to come out that we may not have expected. There's flexibility. We believe that, again, the effort here, we believe that we may not have answered everything, but we expect to be smarter about this in 6 months.
It might make sense to have the department report back in 6 months. It might make sense to have the results of that back in 6 months.
We want to hear from our public commenters, too. We want to hear from our public commenters.
I certainly agree with my colleagues. First of all, I commend Chief Beck and my colleagues. As Commissioner Dillon has indicated, I think Commissioner Dillon has given very, very careful thought to this. And it seems to me that this step is a significant step, really, in the right direction of sending the right kind of message particularly to immigrant communities. Everyone obviously may not be satisfied with every single aspect of it, but I think it's clear, and it does strike that delicate balance between protecting the interest from a public safety perspective, because we cannot be naive that there are public safety implications here that clearly need to be adhered to, but by the same token, to have LAPD say that to the various immigrant communities that there's not going to be a broad brush where we just be a party to working with ICE and sending everybody back to wherever they came from if they happen to be an illegal immigrant. So I also support this policy, understanding that there are critics out there. I guess I would ask one question, Chief Moore, where there seems to be some difference. You've indicated that, in terms of your outreach, that you've met with various groups. You identified ACLU and labor groups and immigrant groups, and we received communication suggesting that maybe this communication wasn't as effective as it could have been or might have been. Would you comment about that?
Well, we have met and will continue to meet, and believe that we have communicated. However, we recognize that in that communication that people from various advocates and stakeholders disagree. They disagree with with where this threshold is at, and they advocate very strongly in different directions.
So this is a case where you respectfully agree to disagree.
Yes. We think from local law enforcement, our role, that it's critical from a local law enforcement perspective that this is where the threshold is drawn. Others in the community, elected officials and others, can establish different parameters.
That to me is, I mean, it is the judgment of local law enforcement as to where to draw that line, and the fact that you've met with many different representatives who have differing views and you've taken those into consideration, it seems to me this is ultimately very much an informed judgment by the department, both based upon input from the community and the expertise of the department, as to where this line should be drawn. And the point you made earlier, I think we can revisit this after you've done an analysis and take a look at it. But I really do think that there was a lot of thought that went into this, and the thresholds are appropriate.
And the amount of outreach, I'm just, again, going to reiterate how important that is and was, and it makes an enormous difference. And we have received thoughtful letters which do not entirely agree with your proposal, but I think that's important, and it's been over a significant amount of time.
And presumably you will continue to engage in communication.
These absolutely, Commissioner, absolutely. The department is committed not only on this subject, but every subject of community safety and public safety and individual rights to work with all communities within Los Angeles. And as to the to each of the groups that we've met with before and individual stakeholders, we will continue to meet and do outreach activities. In fact, this is a community that, this decision here, it's critical that these communities recognize that these detainers that will not be honored as a result of today, forestalling or holding off on a decision on this, those would be detainers that would be honored. So this is a step and a footing, if you will, that's important to take.
Well, it's now time for public comment. I'm told it's approximately 30 persons who wish to be heard. As it says in our agenda, if there are more than 10 comment cards for each item, comment can be limited to 1 minute per individual. With approximately 30, we are going to have 1 minute per individual. It's a particularly heavy day in terms of our closed session agenda, so I would appreciate it if each of you can keep your remarks to the 1 minute. And with that,
okay, we'll start with the first 5. Natividad Carrera, followed by Pablo Alvarado, Marisol Granillo, Rosemary Molina, and Jeannie Pascarella.
Good morning. My name is Natividad Carrera. I'm a member of the Southern California Immigration Coalition. Obviously, you've already talked to other immigration rights stakeholders, but I just want to make it clear that the ideal for us is that there is no cooperation between ICE and law enforcement in the city of Los Angeles. A person's immigration status should never interfere with a person's due process rights or their criminal prosecution. The police should not act as a backstop or agents of the Border Patrol. I also want to bring up a few other things that I think should be considered. I read the report. Beck mentions that illegal immigrants convicted of serious criminal offenses are those that are remanded into ICE's custody. That's false. Right now, as it stands, one of the worst things about ESCOM is that people pre-conviction are put into ICE's custody. And so I would seriously urge you to consider changing that policy if you're going to implement this.
thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Pablo Alvarado, and I am the director of the National Day Labor Network. Since the inception of the Secure Communities program, we were told that it was going to help deport people who have committed serious and violent crimes. That hasn't happened. And ICE has lied and enlisted local police to help it meet a deportation quota of 400,000 people a year. In Los Angeles itself, we're talking about that we've had 25,000 deportations, as opposed to Maricopa County, where Sheriff Arpaio rules, it's less. So we have to fix this, and we welcome the spirit of this process. We did participate in that process, but we believe that we received the language last Friday, so we would request that this vote is postponed while community takes a closer look at what has been put on the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commission. My name is Jenny Pasquarella. I'm a staff attorney at the ACLU of Southern California, and I just want to say, given the limited time that we have, I represent both the ACLU and a coalition of immigrant rights organizations. We've presented a letter to the Commission. You should all have that, and I think it spells out many of our concerns, one of which is, yes, we did meet and we appreciate the efforts to engage with us by the Department, but we haven't had thorough enough time to really review this. We only saw it on Friday, the actual policy, and we have a number of concerns which I think we could address. We understand and we applaud really the initiative of Chief Beck and the Department in engaging in this and proposing this policy, but we do think it can be refined. We do think that this policy does not go far enough, and one of my specific concerns I wanted to raise is that we don't think that this policy as written will affect victims of crimes. For example, domestic violence victims who are wrongly arrested before the police can identify who is the perpetrator and who is the victim. I have a client who was arrested by the LAPD on a felony domestic violence charge who was then swept up in this program. So we would like more time to evaluate them.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for the thoughtful letter.
Okay, the next 5 speakers are Jose Ucelo Gonzalez, Jessica Karp, Bertha Arce, Antonio Bernabe, and Jorge Cabrera.
I'm just going to translate.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Estoy aquí para relatar un poco mi historia que me pasó en el mes de marzo.
I'm here to tell my story, what happened to me this past March.
Soy jornalero y en el mes de marzo salía a buscar trabajo y fui contratado por una persona y después de haberle trabajado 10 horas y verle cobrado mi dinero, pues me llamó la policía y me pusieron en manos de la policía, fue a la cárcel y así fue.
I'm a day laborer. One day in March, I went out to look for work after working 10 hours for the person who hired me. He told me that he didn't want to pay me, and he called the police, and he falsely accused me of trying to rob him.
Fue a parar a la cárcel del condado, y de la cárcel del condado pues me llevaron supuestamente a una corte con un juez, pero ya cuando llegué ahí me habían retirado los cargos. Me regresaron otra vez a la cárcel del condado y pues de ahí me transfirieron a migración y así fue como pusieron en riesgo mi proceso de deportación.
We'll reset it with the translation and a little extra time.
Thank you, appreciate that. So he said, I was taken to the county, I was booked, and then I was taken to a court, and they told me that all my charges had been abandoned, but they still, after that, they took me back to the county, and I was transferred to immigration, and that's how my deportation process began. And he was sharing that story because this is an example of somebody who was arrested. He was charged with felony robbery. There was nothing to it. The charges were dropped, but he was still passed to immigration, and we're really concerned that this is a kind of example that's not covered by this policy because it looks at charges, it doesn't look at convictions, and we think there really needs to be a chance. You look at the charges when the person is booked, but you also need to look at the charges at the moment the person is supposed to be released. Are those charges still there or not? Because this policy, it seems like if you're charged with robbery or domestic violence, and then those charges are abandoned, you still could be transferred to ICE, and we think that's a real problem for crime victims, and in this case allows employers to abuse their workers.
Thank you very much.
Jessica Karp.
Sorry, that's me too. I'll be quick. I just wanted to speak really quickly about, this is a national problem with the Secure Communities program. It's a program that was forced involuntarily on police departments across the country, and a lot of different cities have been looking into solutions. And a lot of those solutions have gone a lot farther and done a lot more to create this bright line between police and immigration than what's been proposed to the Commission today. For example, the city of Chicago, the county of Cook in Illinois, they don't comply with any immigration detainers, and the reason they do that is because they feel like they really need that bright line. It's a clear policy, it's easy, and it protects the city from liability. One of the things in Attorney General Harris's opinion points out that these detainers are issued without a finding of probable cause.
the police department can face liability for detaining people without probable cause. And the whole state of Connecticut has a policy that goes much further than this. They'll detain somebody if they have felony convictions and a few other things. The city of Santa Clara has a policy that's gone a lot further. So we think that the Commission really should take the time and study these other policies that we think do a lot more to address this really serious problem.
Thank you.
Bertha Arce.
Buenos días, comisionado de la policía. Mi nombre es Berta Arce y estoy aquí en representación de los vendedores ambulantes para pedir su consideración con los vendedores ambulantes, que no se nos ponga en detención de inmigración si somos detenidos por vender. Queremos que el programa de comunidades seguras solo se cumpla cuando criminales peligrosos son detenidos, ya que nosotros como vendedores somos personas honestas que trabajamos de esta manera para mantener a nuestras familias debido a la crisis económica que todos sabemos. Thank you very much.
I'm going to relate for her. Hello, my name is Berta Arce. I'm here representing the street vendors of Los Angeles. So we want first that street vendors, once they are arrested, they don't have to be put in hold of immigration because we are just honest people that are working just to provide for our families. But we want that the program security communities be used only when the people detained is dangerous criminals that are threatening our communities.
Thank you.
Antonio Bernabe.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Chief of Police. My name is Antonio Bernabe. I'm the senior organizer for CHILA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles. I'm here to say that ESCON is being a dragnet that unfairly sweeps our community members for deportation, even victims of domestic violence, like Jessica said, who call police for help. In California, 7% of the 85,000 people deported was not convicted of any crime, or they were arrested for minor issues, like selling without a license. ESCON undermines Special Order 40 and other efforts to rebuild trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. Based on Attorney General Kamala Harris' opinion, Los Angeles has the discretion for not to honor immigration holds altogether if the city believes that this is the right approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jorge Cabrera.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jorge Cabrera, and I represent Dream Team Los Angeles. As a dreamer, I'm here to talk to you and express the fact that we feel that this proposal does not go far enough in protecting our communities. In fact, it will harm our communities because, as we have seen, there are cases where people who are otherwise law-abiding and productive citizens, they'll be caught under the wrath of secure communities. It is a fact that 7 out of 10 of the people who have been deported or even caught up under secure communities are people who are simply witnesses of crime or even victims of crime. We urge you to postpone the vote and a decision on this because we have not had a chance to see the specifics of this. I think you've mentioned that there's some exceptions to what certain people would not be deported or even turn into ICE, but we have not seen those specifics. There's a lot of questions that remain unanswered, and we don't feel comfortable going back to our community members, our brothers, our sisters, even my 11-year-old niece, and telling them that this is a proposal that we support. And lastly, look at this. The numbers don't lie. We're not Arizona. We're LA County, and I have faith in you that you'll do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are Arturo Cepeda, Adela Barajas, Emilio Laques, David Guizar, and Henry Sandoval. Arturo Cepeda. Okay, then Adela Barajas.
Good morning. I'm here representing Laura, Life After Uncivil Ruthless Acts, and the YJC, and the community that I live in. There's a lot of immigrants in the state of California and the city of Los Angeles, and this proposal does not meet the requirements. I could tell you, I only have a minute, but I could sit here, Chief Beck knows, Chief Greenhouse. I work with these communities, and there's a lot of injustice going on. And I don't think that they need any more injustices. There's 18-year-old kids who were brought up here, and with these laws, they're going to be deported to Mexico or to whatever country they came from, totally being total strangers. Our youth need support, love, and understanding, not deportation at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emilio Lackett.
How's it going? My name is Emilio. I'm a youth organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition. First thing I want to say is that we stand here in solidarity with the immigrant rights organizations. We understand that this policy is very problematic, and we think that it's unfair that y'all are going to vote on this today without having discussion and having support with the people that are on the front line working on this issue. We're also here standing against the criminalization of youth, specifically youth of color in the South LA area. We're also here to talk about the Cal Gang database. So in this database, a really problematic statistic that we found doing our research is that there's over 140 10 to 14-year-olds on this database. Most people on this gang database have never been arrested or accused of any crime. I heard a story from a friend of mine who said he got pulled over just walking to the store, searched, bothered, harassed, taken pictures, and put on this database without him even having knowledge. It's problematic. Stop criminalizing our youth, and we hope that you'll listen to us today. Thank you.
David Guizar. Henry Sandoval.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Henry Sandoval from the Youth Justice Coalition. On November 12th, I got shot. I got confused. It was like a drive-by. Didn't even say nothing. I took a bullet to the heart and survived. It's a miracle that I'm here talking to you guys. But one of the problems that I faced is the fact that the police were claiming me as a gang member, even though they were asking the community, everybody that knows me, all my neighbors and everything. They were saying that I'm a good kid, that I'm a community organizer. I know you, Chet Beck, you know that I'm a community organizer, and many of you guys have seen me here before, and testifying all the time. Well, not all the time, but you guys have seen me. And I was claimed, and I was trying to get victims assistance to pay for my medical bills, and I was denied because I was labeled as a gang member. And on the media, it said that a gang member got shot, so that automatically puts me in danger, and the information they get it from the police. So I'm urging that, that's just really messed up. And also about the gang database, two of my closest friends that were there for me the whole time, they're in the gang database, and they were never gang members. They were never notified, and they were the ones that helped me throughout the whole time. Thank you.
Thank you. The next 5 speakers are Jose Gallegos, Ernest Shepard, Ana Muñiz, Isaac Barrera, and Jasmine Jaragui.
How's it going? My name is Jose Gallegos, youth organizer and resident of the Youth Organizer from Youth Justice Coalition and resident from South Central Los Angeles. I personally just believe, but know for a fact that the Cal Gang database is nothing but a waste of good California taxpayers' money, and another way for law enforcement to stereotype youth of color in my community, Compton Watts communities, Inglewood communities, to overuse their authority to protect and serve. I really believe that. Our latest track report, I don't know if you guys have received a copy, if I can give it to somebody. Right here. Like Henry said, to piggyback on him, that youth in Cal Gang days are 10 years, the youngest age, are 10 years of age, right? You'll need to meet 2 out of the 10 criteria. So, for instance, I never had tattoos until I got introduced into the county jail for selling bootleg CDs in downtown LA, right? Okay, it's illegal. I understand that, right? I never had tattoos, never been to juvenile halls, never been to their camps. I'm not a gang member until I went to the county jail when they asked me, Sheriff asks you, who are you going to run with? A Southsider, a Northsider, a Pikes, or Wood? That's when, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ernest Shepard.
Good morning. I'm certainly not a youth. I belong to the Youth Justice Coalition. I'm a mentor there, and I watch these youngsters, and my heart goes out to them. And with the idea that they're going to be criminalized at an early age, and a lot of them are. And I'm there to support them and willing to do anything I can to reverse that process. So they won't Myself, I started out young. I was criminalized as a youth. I was in juvenile hall. I was in the hole. I went through those YAs. I went through those prisons. I was on death row, 47 years in prison. It's a miracle that I'm here. And I'm here as a representative of them so they won't have to go through what I went through because I'm a miracle. They won't make it. You guys are intelligent. You have intelligence enough to build all this technology. Build something that can help these hearts of these creative people. Build something, man, that can support their lives. You know, that's my time, man. But I hope that resonated just a little bit.
Tired of being constantly stopped, tracked, and trapped into the system? You tired of being trailed by police cars when they're giving everything in their bodies to walk from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.? Tired of being accused of stealing our own purses when we walk through wealthier areas? One we'd never met joined us yesterday in Burbank. He could have been doing other things. He could have been sitting at home. Instead, he walked 13 miles for justice because he can't get a job or get respect because the police have decided that his tattoos, his haircut, his race, and his age make him a criminal gang member. It was beautiful. From Selmar to LA, people lined up and cheered us on. People all over LA County support our demands to abolish the gang database and its connection to criminalization and deportations.
Isaac Barrera.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isaac Barrera, and I am undocumented. And due to your program, when you're talking about public safety, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in my community. My family doesn't feel safe, and my community doesn't feel safe. And I think you need to meet with the people who this is directly going to affect before you implement something like this. I've been in your county jails. I've been in detention. I've been there. I've been there looking at the face of the people that they don't know their rights and they're abused. And these programs like this affect all of the community because they don't know that they have their human rights. And after being undocumented, I am a human being also. So you got to take into account that these people are human beings and what you're doing is wrong and immoral. I'm here also marching with the Youth Justice Coalition, 50 miles from Silmar to Norwalk for respect. And that's what we're here to demand, respect.
Thank you.
Jasmine Jadugwe.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Jauregui. I'm here with the Youth Justice Coalition. I find it wrong that you guys are going to use the database to deport people. The fact that many people on this database aren't even gang members is wrong. Sorry, I'm just touched because that's my boyfriend. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
The next 5 speakers are Joseph Meislish, Julio Marquez, Kim McGill, Hamid Khan, and Gloria Estela.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joe Meislish. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and 44 years ago I was a federal felony prisoner. I've seen things from all sides, worked for the Victims of Crime program more recently, and I deal with people who've been robbed and various things at workplaces. I've been a friend of the Youth Justice Coalition for about 6 years and learned a lot about this gang database. When there are severe penalties imposed on people, isn't our system supposed to mean that they have due process of law? But this assignment to that database and its connection now to deportation, of course, it weakens the chance for a good alliance between the police department and the community and does many other harms. The word respect is in the name of the march that the youngsters are doing and that I've participated in. And that's been found. I actually have some papers to give you for some research that people feeling disrespected are more vulnerable to a few of them doing harm to others too. So this involves community safety all around. May I leave? With whom may I leave my papers? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Surely.
Julio Marquez.
Good morning. My name is Julio Marquez, and I'm a youth organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition. So as I'm looking up here, it says integrity in all we say and do. On our way inside, we were told a lot of really messed up things. And somebody actually told us, I'm glad when you guys leave. I'm going to be glad when you all leave. So, I mean, just coming into this meeting right now, it's like we don't even get treated with respect. So if we get treated like this just coming in, how do you think we get treated on the outside? How we get treated? Last night, we had two, security guards on bikes who, were just being really, really foul with us. And at the end, they apologized, but that was only after we all, started taking pictures of them and really, documenting everything they were doing. So, I mean, in terms of gang databases, when we get documented, our only option is to fight back and document back, and that's all I really got to say for right now,
Thank you.
Kim McGill. Earlier you called David Weezar, and he was in the other room because he was in the overflow room, so is it all right if I have him go first?
Good day, commissioners. My name is David Weezar, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint where I want to speak from because there's so many dynamics here. But I grew up, being classified a gang member even when I wasn't. Later I got into that stuff, and I'm glad that I have been able to get out. But it's just a hard life, to get out of that stereotype. Like someone just said, just standing outside, having these law enforcement officers standing out there, being recognized for their great work, working with youth, and then they're just kind of like, on guard because we're out there, trying to, represent our civil rights by being able to stand in front of you as taxpayers too, So just wanted to let you know that. And, I've been working in the community for a long time. I've been around Mr. Beck when you've been in the Nickerson Gardens playing basketball with your folks and stuff. So, just let you know we're there. We're human beings as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. As many people said, the Youth Justice Coalition is walking 50 miles, and part of what we're asking for in terms of today's hearing is an opportunity to meet with you before you decide that young people and young adults that have been allegedly gang involved are deportable. We know that for decades, California and Los Angeles has deported many problems to other parts of the world that we created here, including now our own policies, where other countries are modeling their gang suppression policies after our failed gang database and gang injunctions. We urge you to look instead at more healthier options for young people. Just 1% of the police, sheriffs, the probation budget would give us $100 million a year, and in turn would give us enough money for 500 full-time intervention peace workers in our communities and schools, 50 youth centers open from 3 p.m. to midnight, and 25,000 youth jobs. Last month when we were here, we mentioned one young person, Chris Carter, and I think he has a lot to say to you. So I just wanted you guys to be able to see him. Chris Carter was killed. He was labeled a gang member. He was never offered victim assistance, and there was never an opportunity for him to go to a youth center or have a job before that. Leonard Baker was killed. None of these young people ever had serious charges or any arrests. Leonard Baker was killed. He was never offered an opportunity for an evening program or a center.
Thank you very much.
Jackie Castillo was killed, and not only was she killed, but she was also deportable. So we urge you to have an opportunity for young people to speak to you about not using deportation as a punishment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, and I'm here to speak about this policy, and several people have already spoken about the vagueness and complete lack of clarity on what is being proposed. I think on top of that, we have youth that are marching for respect for 50 miles, and this is their third day, and they're really calling out the discrepancies and the sheer criminalization that is taking place as a result of gang databases. These 3 young lives that you just saw were lost, and how they were criminalized both while they were living and in death as well. So as we move forward, we've had hundreds and thousands of youth who have been criminalized and deported wrongfully because they've been placed in all these databases. So we ask of you and appeal to you that don't make any decisions. You have to reach out to the community. There has to be a larger convening. There have to be larger conversations rather than rushing into this policy and looking good and making some points in the immigrant rights community. I think it's really necessary that we should delay this thing and take a closer look at these policies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gloria Estella. Okay, the final 5 are Leslie Mendoza, Alba Barrios, Jose Castro, Blinky Rodriguez, and Christian Chavarria.
Good morning. My name is Leslie Mendoza. I'm a youth organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition, and I'm also a high school student. As you heard, we're marching 50 miles. This is my 3rd day. My voice is going away. I've been chanting so much. I don't think you guys should really deport people. A lot of my family members have been deported for no reason. I have a brother who's serving life without parole because he got registered as a gang member. He was only 18 when this happened, and I'm really asking you guys to really, instead of deciding right now, have a community forum with your community and really ask them what they want. Because if you make this decision, the people that really disagree here are going to be they're going to just react in a way that's not the way to react. But I just suggest you and I beg you, like, really have a community forum, talk to your community, hear the people out, because a lot of us here, we're marching for respect. We demand respect as youth, as adults, as undocumented people, and as humans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alba Barrios.
Hi, my name is Alba Barrios. As I'm seeing this, there's service to our communities. We need more service in our communities. We need youth centers. We need more jobs. I'm a single mother with a 3-year-old son, trying to raise him in a good community, not a messed up community. We need that 1% database is messed up. I'm really kind of nervous, don't know what to say, but damn, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jose Castro. Blinky Rodriguez.
Good morning. I want to remind everybody in this room that there's pros and cons to everything. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the success of the city of Los Angeles. We've come a long, long ways. One mentioned seeing you play basketball at Nickerson Gardens. I seen you playing in the Pacoima Project at Pacoima Park. Mike Moore. I've seen the Valley Coalition on Gangs grow over the last 10 years. We've come to a great strides. Look at the data. It speaks for itself. But now's the time not to be in a hurry. Now's the time to be prudent. Now's the time to say, maybe we take another little look. Let's see where there's an adjustment. We've come a long ways, Chief Beck. And I know you've been a champion. I don't just throw hollow words out. I don't just throw flowers out just to throw them. I've been on the ground. I buried the son 23 years ago. My carbon copy. I've never done a day at a time in my life, and I'm proud to say that today. I've raised a family of 6. I've been there. But now's not the time to be in a hurry. The city of LA is on the move. There's great things happening here. And I'm excited about it today, going into the new millennium. We got a chance to take greater strides. But let's be patient. God bless all of you.
Thank you very much.
And the final speaker is Christian Chavarria.
Good morning. My name is Christian Chavarria. I'm also with the Youth Justice Coalition. I am a teacher and an administrator, and I'm here to ask for the respect for people of other countries. I myself am a naturalized citizen, and I have to face kids and teach them about the history of this state. If you remember the history, a lot of the stuff that this country is all about is based on the backs of people from other countries. And the fact that we're just here to ask for the respect for the treatment of people, and the 50-mile march is for that, to bring awareness of the respect that the young people of today deserve. So when I teach kids about the history of this country, and I want to teach them that, to love this country for what it is and what it stands for. But for us, it's just about the respect that is demanded, and we want it, and we deserve it. So I hope that you listen to all the kids that came today, because it takes great courage to stand here and ask for it.
Thank you.
And that is the final speaker, Madam President.
Let me say something. Let's get back to, first of all, what in fact is being proposed. And this really, I think, relates to some of the requests that we delay this. the department's current policy, as it stands right now, is to honor all ICE requests for detainers. So if we delay the implementation of this policy, the effect will be that while we're studying this further, the department will continue to honor all ICE requests for detainers. So we've got to start with that. The department's proposal is to change that policy so that in certain instances they are not going to honor those detainers. And the department is going to continue to study and analyze the policy and report back to us in the future. A policy like this is not necessarily etched in stone. If it needs to be adjusted, it can be adjusted in the future. But if we delay this, it means that the department is going to continue to honor all of the ICE requests for detainers, which I got the impression from the speakers is what the vast majority of the people in this auditorium here today don't want to have happen. So it seems to me that the department should implement this policy. It has been given a great deal of thought and study. It doesn't mean that we can't adjust in the future or we can't listen to the requests from the community in the future. And I think that the option of just waiting means that we will be doing the things that people in this audience don't want. So my view is, at least at this point, is we should adopt this policy, that we should continue to hear from the community. We should get back a report from the department on, by category. I am concerned about one issue, is how many times is a felony arrest charges filed and then dropped because there's no probable cause, and what happens under those circumstances. I thought one of the speakers made a good point on that. And I think we should at least take a look at that, study that going forward, and determine if that's an issue. But in the interim, I think we need to implement this policy and change the department's current policy.
Commissioners, if I could just real briefly add one thing. Los Angeles Police Department's jail system is unique. We are pre-arraignment only. If there's a determination of innocence or a lack of filing, it is very, very likely, matter of fact, almost to a certainty, that individual has been transferred to the custody of the sheriff. One of my goals in doing this is to be a leader in law enforcement and to affect the way that all entities in law enforcement treat ICE detainers, and that has already started to happen. And I think to delay this delays the evolution for the entire state. And I think that, I hear this group, and we will have continued meetings, and we will refine this, but I think we miss a leadership opportunity. And it's very important to me that what we do not only affect the city of Los Angeles, but that it affect the entire state.
Thank you, Madam President. While our speakers were informing us of very important information, I did some legal research on this issue very quickly, and on Chief Moore and especially Dean Saltzman, if you can help me out here if I've got this wrong. But under Title 8 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 287.7, LAPD is not reimbursed by the federal government for this work in terms of these detainers. And I think the Chief has confirmed that. We don't get a dime for doing this, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And under well-settled principles of constitutional law, neither Congress nor the executive can compel a state agency to perform federal programs at the state's expense. So on a constitutional basis, if I'm right on this, we can't be required to do this, so there's no requirement to do so. Additionally, I reviewed the ICE statute. I went to their website and looked up what they say, and they basically, within their own program, they have an enormous amount of discretion, and they don't have the secure programs. It's not law of the land. It's not everywhere. It's only in certain jurisdictions. And even within those jurisdictions, there's a lot of discretion as to who they deport, who they do not deport. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay. And finally, even under their own statute, they indicate that there's no requirements on state or local agencies. So I think from a constitutional perspective,
and from reading what they say, it's very much in our discretion of what we do or do not do here.
That is the department's understanding as well, based
Okay.
on the totality of all the information that's been provided.
Okay, so based on my, like I said, I didn't have the city attorney's report, but I did go to law school at USC, Dean Salzman, and so I did a quick research. So I think that we're on constitutional grounds here. Madam President, I just wanted to make sure that was part of the record before we made a decision here today.
Commissioner Orden, being a big-time Bruin, will forgive you for the USC connection. I agree with my colleagues. I frankly see no reason for us to delay. And as Commissioner Druin indicated, frankly, in this instance, a delay will continue a process that I think the overwhelming majority of our speakers would not want to have happen. I see this as an enlightened first step, significant step, but first step, and has been indicated by Chief Moore. You know, this is not cast in stone. I mean, we're going to begin to go down this road. Most importantly, sending a powerful message to the immigrant community that LAPD will not be a party to deporting every immigrant in our jurisdiction. But by the same token, recognizing that we must be realistic. There is a public safety consideration here. The LAPD does have a responsibility to make sure that whether a person is a citizen of the United States or a person is an immigrant from another community, that person, if he or she engages in felony acts, acts of violence, serious crimes, well, that person needs to be held accountable. But the important, to me, I think, as I listen to the speakers, it seems as though people were not either not listening carefully to Chief Moore or were just tuning him out. He indicated that they're flexible, that adjustments will be made as you go along. And as Commissioner Druin has indicated or suggested, and I agree, that the department should report back to us within a reasonable period of time, 6 months or some period of time. Let's try it out. I mean, I see this as a phase one, so to speak, of an important step in the right direction. So, Madam President, I see no reason for us to delay acting today, and fully support what I think is a very thoughtful, carefully crafted proposal here that will move us in the direction of striking an important balance here that needs to be struck. And I don't know if, unless somebody else wants to comment, I don't know if you want to entertain a motion or not.
Yes, the one thing I would like in the report back, I would like to see how sort of categorize it, and in particular, the one issue that I'd like to see is are there instances in which people are arrested for felonies, presumably probable cause, but then upon further investigation, the charges are dropped, which would obviously have to happen pretty quickly within a short period of time, and then the person is turned over to ICE on a detainer. I do think that's something that we should take a look at, and it was a good point raised by one of the speakers. But if you can, so I would make a motion to approve the department's report with a request or require the department to report back on the status of the implementation of this in 6 months.
Second.
Discussion? I do have one comment, which is I both appreciate and applaud the Chief's desire to be a leader in this regard. It is in the tradition of the LAPD, Special Order 40 from the 1970s, the concern that the local policing agency should not be seen as an arm of immigration enforcement. I think a balance has been struck here, at least for the next 6 months, and therefore I'm very much in favor of it. I recognize that perhaps we need to be coordinating better with the Sheriff's Department now that the Sheriff has a different view. That will have something to do with whether a person has had charges dismissed. And also to look at the accuracy of whether a person is a documented gang member. That is a very important part as well. But
I'm sorry.
yes,
No, I was going to just add one other thought too. I think it will also be important for the Inspector General to very closely, monitor this process, and certainly independent of the department to, within some reasonable period of time,
exactly.
Make a presentation to us regarding his review and analysis of this policy, and whether or not it's in fact being implemented as proposed.
We have a motion and a second discussion, and now a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, and thank you very much to the community for your thoughtful comments, and I know we will be talking more. And it is now time for the department's report on the Department Risk Managers Report, Goals and Strategies for 2013 through 2017.
Wait a few minutes.
Where are we? Okay. Got it.
I don't know if it's morning or afternoon. Good morning, Department Risk Manager Beth Correa. Before you is the department's report as to its goals and strategies for calendar years 2013 through 2017. The purpose of this report is to set forth the focus and framework for future reporting during calendar year 2013. In the sections below, there are overviews of the 5 high-risk areas that the department will be targeting through calendar years 2013 through 2017. The future reports will break down in further detail the analysis of these issues. What's before you is just a global overview of these 5 issues and the specific efforts that will be undertaken to reduce liability in those areas. The reports need to be regarded as a living document. They are subject to change, will be changing depending on analysis that comes forth throughout the life of this strategic plan. And just to summarize real quickly, the 5 areas that are being focused on are employment, traffic, collisions by department employees, workers' compensation, use of force, both categorical and non-categorical, and the Fair Labor Standards Act. The following 5-year reductions have been established for the years 2013 through 2017. The number of employment lawsuits filed, minus 15%. The number of FLSA lawsuits filed, no new lawsuits. The number of preventable traffic collisions, minus 25%. The number of use of force lawsuits filed, minus 15%. And the number of worker compensation claims filed, minus 10%. Set forth in Addendum A, which is the Excel document, are the specific strategies that have been taken during 2012, as well as the strategies that we plan to implement and take place during 2013. These strategies will be fleshed out in further detail as reporting happens, and also subject to change. More strategies might come into play as the process goes down the road. Some strategies might be eliminated because they aren't effective. So that is it's going to be a continuing supplement to the reports as they get presented. And with that, I guess we can entertain questions, but obviously towards the end we'll be asking for approval of this plan for the calendar years 2013 through 2017.
Yeah. Well, let me say, I think this is a very good start, and I appreciate all the effort that went into this. I think in the quarterly reports going forward, it's going to be critical to report on the results and the comparisons and how you're doing in terms of achieving your goals. And I think this is really a dynamic process. And one of the points that you made, I just want to emphasize, I think it is really important to critically evaluate each of your strategies. And if the strategy is working, keep it. If it can be improved upon, improve upon. If it's not working, change it. And also to try to evaluate what other strategies you might use to address some of these problems. And so, in the quarterly reports in the future, I would like to see you specifically indicate where you've evaluated a strategy that you think is working, where you've evaluated something that you think is not working and you've decided not to use it anymore, and what additional strategies perhaps you've come up with. And I think that would be a very helpful in terms of part of your quarterly reports to show, because it is a dynamic process. This is step one, and I do think you did a really good job, and I appreciate the effort that went into step one. But it is the beginning of the process, and now I think you're going to be able to measure it by numbers, and you're going to evaluate your strategies going forward, and that's the kinds of things that I'd like to see in the quarterly report.
Thank you.
I'm going to support this at this time, but I need to point out a few things that are an error here. First of all, the numbers that you're seeking are not statistically significant. I mean, a 3% reduction, a 2% reduction is not statistically significant. For example, in terms of employment litigation, if we achieve the 3% reduction per year that you're talking about, that's 0.75 of one case. Statistically, it would be very hard to determine if we've lost 3/4 of a case or gained 3/4 of a case. Additionally, when you look at your numbers overall, you're not achieving a 15% reduction. You're achieving a 3% reduction over 5 years. For example, workers' compensation claims. We have 3,200 claims per year, all right? Over the course of 5 years, that's 16,000 claims. If we reduce it by 2% every year, that is 64 claims per year. If we multiply that out by 5, that is a reduction of 320 claims. So your numbers, they're not cumulative. You don't add up all the reductions and say that's a 15% reduction. If you set a 3% reduction per year, given the fact that we have new claims filed each year, statistically at the end, all you've achieved is a 3% reduction or a 2% reduction. So I'm going to support it this time, but I think you need to aim higher. I think your cumulative total for 5 years should be your yearly total. Cumulative total for 5 years. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
And you follow the statistical issue?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I can show you the math afterwards, but that's how it works out. Whatever you set as your yearly goal, unless it increases, that will be your final statistical goal at the end, which is to say, rather than achieve a 15% goal, which I think is what you want to achieve, at the end of 5 years, you'll only achieve a 3% goal. Actually, it'll be a little higher because the numbers will go down, but it won't be much more than 5%.
Maybe I misread it, but I understood it was that you're taking your 3% the first year, coming up with a lower number, and you're taking a 3% off the lower number and 3% off.
But that's what I'm saying. That number will only that number, statistics-wise, will only increase at a small percent. So actually, at the end of, I did the math here, Commissioner Julian, for workers' comp, at the end of the 5 years, we'll achieve about a 3.5% to 4% reduction, given that the numbers go down. And it's just a math problem. Okay. The math's just wrong.
I never took statistics, so I'm going to defer.
School, right?
Yeah, I'm not a mathematician.
Well, I was an econ major at SC, so that's why. Again, SC gets you.
Okay.
But the numbers are what they are, and that's what I'm saying. My final word is, I think you need to aim higher. I think your 5-year goal should be your first-year goal. And if we don't make it, at least we shot at it. And I think a goal of 3%, 2% is just too small. Statistically, you can have that number go up and down by
doing nothing. That's why it's statistically not significant. It has to be at least 4% to be statistically significant. And that's why I don't have a criticism of your car accidents, because that's a 5%. You can, if you hit a 5% goal, that means you really did something. That's statistically significant. A 2%, 3% goal, you can't even measure that. And you can't determine if you're having an effect. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
After our math quiz, I'm trying to get it together. The one, picking up on the earlier comments, I think this is a good first step. That begins to, I think, begins to effectively address, frankly, a number of concerns that my colleagues and I have had for quite some time. I think this represents a strategy, it represents a plan that you, the department, and of course can work with, and the commission can review and either concur or not concur. One point, however, that my colleague made, after his statistical observations, I too, frankly, felt that you were aiming too low. And I think personally, we ought to set some higher targets. Particularly, in terms of the 3% discussion that, and I mean this moving forward. I mean, let's make sure that we don't engage in expectations that are too low and goals that are too low. So I do share that concern, and that would be my observation. Again, as you think this through some more and move and look into the future.
If I might, I also have some comments and then two questions, both of which I think are simply because I'm not understanding something, not actually questioning the report. I share the comments that have been made. I think this is a very good start, and as Commissioner Druyan said, I appreciate the effort that's gone into this. Appreciate seeing Mr. Chaliff here and Chief MacArthur here. Ms. Correa, clearly your efforts in this. And I also appreciate, as you said, that when we make progress here, it's going to be over time. We're not likely to see immediate changes in the results. And that the process is dynamic, that you're going to adjust the strategies as you go forward. And I appreciate all of that. And I do think we're moving in the right direction. I share the concern about whether the goals are aggressive enough. My reaction to them was I was surprised they were not more aggressive. But I also think to a great extent the actual work here is yours, not ours. And so that's my opinion, but I'm relying on you all being more familiar with the data and the strategies to figure out what are the best ways to make progress. So that's not something I would propose changing. It's just my sense of it. I share Commissioner Mack and Commissioner Bernardino's views on that. I do have two questions, and I promise no math with the exception of page numbers, which I believe I'm competent to do. The first is on page 14. And again, as I said, I think this is just my own confusion. At the top of the page, future reports, you say currently quarterly reports will be presented on an annual basis. And I'm just trying to understand. I'm sure that's obvious, but it's confusing to me.
That's an error in the report. It's my understanding the Commission has requested quarterly reports. That's what you'll be receiving.
They're quarterly. Okay, thank you. That's what I figured. And then the second is in the first of the series of attachments. It's an item that repeats, but this one is on page 1 of 2 in the first attachment, and it's the second item: reorganize risk management division into legal affairs division and create system for identifying litigation causes and early intervention strategies. And you show it completed. I want to understand I understand the reorganization being complete, the creating the system for identifying litigation causes and early intervention strategies. I want to understand better what it means for that to be complete.
And there's a lot of debate about whether something is complete or not, because these are ongoing strategies. But what has been completed in that regard is closed case summaries coming out of Legal Affairs Division will be identifying the causes of the litigation. They'll be classified in a manner that we can track. And so that system has been established, and reports coming out of Legal Affairs Division on closed cases will contain that information.
Right. So the system's set up.
The system is
and now we're
yes.
implementing it.
Correct.
That's what I thought. I appreciate that. So with that, as I said, I think we are moving in the right direction. I think a lot of work's gone into it and plenty more to do, but I support the efforts that you're making. Thank you.
I just had a couple of comments, just in terms of looking through the specific strategies. It's certainly good to see the extent to which the Legal Affairs Division is in process of working with the City Attorney's Office and having them actively involved in so many of these issues. I think it would be very helpful if in some of these areas we would be having more city attorney involvement earlier in the cases, so that working with you and with Legal Affairs Division, we would be able to collect the kind of information that we want to have and that would be helpful to managers. I know you're in the midst of the uniform database with claims and litigation information. I'd also suggest on that one that the information should include costs of the litigation itself.
We track the litigation from each demand that gets made. And so instead of overriding an earlier demand by a plaintiff or an earlier settlement offer, we track it throughout the course of the litigation so that we know at what point in time what amount of money was at stake.
That's terrific. And also it would be terrific if we also knew on a monthly basis how much legal fees have already been expended or expert fees, so that the base accurately reflects the real cost of the lawsuit or of the claim. In my experience, it's often probably 50-50, so that whatever the claim was, the same amount of city attorney resources have gone in the litigation.
That's kind of a tricky number. I can certainly add the field to be captured, but the city attorney's office, the business office oftentimes works separately from the actual attorneys, and so that information may not get captured until the very end. The types of costs that we would be tracking would be the deposition costs, subpoena costs, which can be small amounts, throughout on a monthly basis, obviously. Attorney's fees are not an issue unless we, of course, have outside counsel. That's information then that would involve the CAO's office, and so it's a coordination effort that we will be trying to track, but monthly basis we'll do the best we can.
And I think maybe not for the next 3 months or 6 months. Attorneys' fees in-house should be a part of it. I mean, whether it is now, how difficult it'll be.
We don't charge by the hour. Obviously, our attorneys have salary, and we would be guessing at what somebody is worth. For example, at the time I was in the city attorney's office, it's hard to say what I could get on an hourly basis in something.
All I'm saying is let's talk about it more, because I think it's crucial to have that kind of information. And so whether they're not doing hourlies now, it might be something worth talking about.
If you're paying the salary,
okay.
50% of the
salary.
Want a motion?
Yes, I'd love a motion.
Move approval of regular agenda item 8C.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And thank you. This has been very, very helpful.
Thanks.
We only have one more.
I think we have two more, don't we? The vehicle pursuit inspection, G, department's report. Didn't we add I?
Good morning. My name's Detective Jose Sev from Internal Audits and Inspections Division. I'm here to report on the vehicle pursuit inspection, which we conducted at IID. Give you a brief overview of what we looked at. We looked at all the vehicle pursuits that happened from October 1st, 2011 to December 31st, 2011. We then took a statistically valid random sample, which yielded about 47 vehicle pursuits. Generally, the department did well. We did have some findings, and we reported those findings to the department. They took care of them, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the report.
Two things. One, obviously, it's a very, very good report for the department overall. Why is it there's sort of been a consistent problem getting the reports approved in a timely manner? That's the one carryover that doesn't seem to have improved, and it's dramatically lower than the 100% and the 90% that you have elsewhere.
I want to say it's, in our opinion, it's a low-risk administrative.
I'm sorry?
In our opinion, it's a low-risk administrative sort of issue.
I think that's right.
It is low. However, when we look at the overall report, what needs to be done is done. And the breakdown happens between getting the report from the area CO to the Bureau. And again, it's administrative.
Well, it's not terrible. I mean, most of them are done within 20 days after your deadline. So it's, I mean, you're right.
That's correct.
And I don't know, maybe you need more time. I mean, maybe that's,
Commissioner,
maybe the standards are wrong.
The reality is that these standards were set when our staffing was much higher. I mean, when I give you my civilian reporting and tell you I got 500 vacancies, and a lot of them occur in the exact administrative functions that occur here, so we got to look at these things. And the reality is the department cannot do all things with nothing. We have to prioritize what we do.
Correct. And that's my question. I think it's a good report, and maybe you just need to, frankly, adjust the standards for something that's realistic.
Anytime, sir.
Matt, you say thanks, huh?
Well, it's a good report. Is there a motion?
Move approval of item HE.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
And
last one for TBD, is that it?
yes, the department's report, the response to the South Bureau Gang Enforcement Accountability Performance Audit.
Green.
We'll get there.
Morning, Commissioner Orden, Commissioners, Chief.
Morning, Chief.
As you can see by the document submitted, South Bureau has been extraordinarily aggressive in the last 3 months, not only talking about it with the command officers, but we have reached out and touched every detective, every gang unit supervisor, every watch commander and assistant watch commander in the Bureau, and provided 4 hours of formal training. We assessed July and August of 2012, and the numbers were 96, 95, 94, 93% throughout the 3 areas, so we still have some work to do in it. The only area I'm still concerned about is detention logs. In regards to secured detention, we did an informal assessment within the Bureau this last month, and we're still having an issue with secured detention logs. So we plan on focusing on that, and then we'll stay on top of it and continue to add pressure training to try and get these results up.
Again, I would commend Chief Green for really getting on top of this and addressing these various issues that were previously pointed out. I think you very soon after you took over, you had this thrown into your lap, and so you got right on top of it.
I don't want to sit in front of you next year with the same results. Right?
Okay.
Madam President, I would move we approve this report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. And with that,
One more, Jay.
do we have any?
TDD.
Oh,
I'm sorry, well,
Jay.
Jay.
oh, we do have Jay, that's right.
Tina's been waiting.
Yeah. It's been a long way.
This is a long way. Keeps on going.
Good morning, Madam President, Police Commissioner, Chief, Inspector General. I'm requesting that you review and approve this updated report on the status of the foreign language and telecommunications for the deaf device. In that audit, they identified two really critical issues that for Information Technology Bureau to handle. One, they identified that in our stations, the TDY machines were either broken or missing, and they asked us to replace that. I'm happy to report October 9th, all of the stations now have a new PC-based telecommunications device. All of our officers have been trained at the station, and we have also put them with a little manual so that they understand how to operate that. We tested it. We even went with OO, gave them Office of Operations, gave them a demonstration. They even tested it at the office, and happy to say the officer picked it up and was typing away. So we're very happy to pleased to report that. The second recommendation, and I brought with me is Police Officer David Cho. He was the project manager for this one, and he worked diligently, tirelessly. I think he got an opportunity to deal with outside agencies because ITA is the responsible entity for our telephones. And I'm happy to report today what we thought was the recommendation was to remove all the phone trees, to have the stations, that the telephone would just ring at the stations. The department took a look at that, and they decided, well, we would like to have a greeting so that the person who is calling would know who they called, what division they called, and then do that in a couple of languages, and then standardize that throughout the department. So we gave that to ITA, and what we thought was going to be a simple task really was very complex. What we found out is that our department had a hodgepodge of different telephone systems, and each one was routed and configured differently. So each one had to be revised individually. It wasn't just one solution, and they could deploy that through the whole. So I'm happy to say the report that we have here says that 12 of the divisions have been completed. Right now we have 16 of them. There are still 5 that we're still struggling to get going. One is Central Division. Central Division's telephone was in such disarray that we have budgeted that in the last fiscal year for this fiscal year, and they're currently getting a new telephone system. And once that system is in place, then they will have that standardized greeting, and that phone will ring to the first session. The other 3 is Hollywood, Foothill, and Newton. Those 3, their stations, the system is very old. The option would be to replace the system. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the funding for that at that moment, so we are still working on a solution. What we were able to do was at least disconnect the phone tree, and for those 3 stations, it just rings to the station until someone picks it up, or if all the lines are busy, then it will ring to a busy station. We'll be happy to come back and report, or I could just report to the executive director when those 3 stations, or when we have identified a solution, and those 3 stations will be fully up and operational so that we truly have a standardized phone message.
Great, thank you. I had held this item because it's something that I've been following. I'm sorry you had to wait so long, because I'm fully supportive of what you're doing. And really, I just wanted a couple of things. I wanted to thank you, Commander Scott, for all the work that's gone into this. It's been a long, hard effort, and have made very good progress. I'm very pleased about that. I also, the one substantive question I had, you already answered, which was publicly stating the tremendous progress that's been made with the TTD machine replacement and currently functioning system, and I appreciate that very much. My only other suggestion is because of the nature of this, that we ask for one more report back in 3 or 4 months on the final progress of these last few steps. Mr. Tiefenk, if that makes sense to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I remember when we started on this,
Yeah,
when I
here.
was still here the first time, and it is terrific to see that now it's almost entirely implemented.
Yeah. I move approval of the item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Thank you, and thank you for waiting. And now, public comment?
Yes, Madam President, we have 5. We'll begin with Burris Coffrin, Colin Bogart, Don Ward, Daniel Jones, and Nadine Hays. Burris. Okay. Colin Bogart.
President Odin, I'm sorry, Vice President Mack, Commissioners, Chief Brett, my name is Colin Bogart. I'm with the Los Angeles County Bicycle Coalition, and I'm here this morning out of genuine concern and to ask for the city and LAPD to dedicate more resources to what the LA Weekly just last week labeled an epidemic of hit and run. If you haven't read this article, I would ask that you take a look at it. I'm not a big fan of the LA Weekly myself, but I found that the article seems pretty solid. I have 3 friends, personal friends, who have been victims of hit and run collisions while riding their bicycles. Thankfully, each of them has survived, but I can tell you that each of them suffered a lot of pain, injury, and great cost in terms of medical expenses. That alone should be alarming. But when you read what's in this article, even I was shocked by some of the information that they talked about in this article. And that's why I'm here today, is to ask you and the LAPD to please dedicate more resources to dealing with this issue. Now, of course, this is a public safety issue, and I represent a group of bicyclists and our members. But this goes beyond just people riding bikes. It goes beyond people walking. It also includes people driving. It includes everybody. And that's why I say it's a public safety issue, and I would request that you look at this as a violent crime. The moment somebody decides to leave the scene, it is a violent crime, and we have to address it as such. So I ask that you address more resources to this, perhaps establish a task force, definitely something beyond just the bicycle task force, which we're very happy about, but it needs to go beyond that. And I want you to know, and I want to be on record, that the LACBC is prepared to stand to work with the LAPD and the city to try to help resolve this issue. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your comments, and we are well aware of that article. Thank you very much.
Don Ward.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Don Ward. I'm a cyclist in LA, but I'm also a pedestrian and a car driver. And I wanted to thank Chief Beck and Chief Michael Moore for their attention to the hit and run epidemic that we brought to your attention 9 months ago. In that time, according to statistics, 870 cyclists and pedestrians with an untold number of car drivers have been hit since we spoke to you last April, if you'll recall. There are a couple of issues that I think, and as a matter of fact, a police officer was just hit and run on Thursday, just after that article was put out over at Sepulveda and Rinaldi. So it's not even just a civilian issue, it's you guys are suffering as well. I would personally like to see the LAPD set up a hit and run task force that reaches out to all of the community, the car drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. One of the issues that we face when a person is hit and run is that traffic division is ultimately the division that deals with what is actually what is no longer a traffic crime. It's a person-on-person crime, and traffic division is beleaguered with cases. I mean, how many collisions happen every day in Los Angeles? I would like to see area units be tasked with hit and runs, because what's happening is someone gets hit, there's a plate, in the rare instance when there is a plate that's captured, it goes to traffic division. That person has to wait an hour and a half to get service when an area unit could give service and respond to this immediately, and that's not happening, and we'd like to see that happen.
Thank you.
Daniel Jones.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Jones. This is a copy of the Constitution of the United States right here. This is a special edition. It's got a dictionary in the back of it. Last time you checked it, never mind. It says right here in page 1A, the accused shall have a speedy public trial on all. That's the word my father taught me. All criminal proceedings and prosecutions. The Defense Appropriations Bill, Section 1022 and 1023 do not do that, do they? He shall be informed of the nature of the accusations, shall be confronted with witnesses against him, shall have the compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, shall have the assistance for his defense. Criminal prosecution shall have a speedy trial, public trial by jury in state and district where the crime was committed. Does that Defense Appropriations Bill allow that to happen? No. What are we doing to our country? What are we doing to our American way? What are we doing to the childhood that I grew up with that I want the rest of the country to have? I mean, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to be mean and ugly. It's just being mean and ugly. I don't like that. I want to have a nice, comfortable place to live in this country. And my father, who was a Strategic Air Command, was the one that dropped the bomb twice in the United States Navy in Bikini Islands, but he was the man that pushed the button. You know my history. You know I love this country. And I'm not here to make you look bad or witch hunt or anything. I just want some things to be stopped. The waste of resources. That's all. But we have to be amicable and agree, and we're all 100%. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Nadine Hays.
I've lived in the Los Angeles area practically my entire life, and I've become very active in Los Angeles over the last year and a half. Believe it or not, I actually joined the Occupy movement, and maybe some people consider that gang membership, but if you really got associated with it, you'd understand that really the movement is about restoring humanity and ending political corruption. I don't think that anybody can argue against that. Now, you won't get that when you look at the media, but that is what I've summarized that movement to be all about. Because I've decided to become politically active, I didn't realize that I was in for a new change in my life. Both for the perspective that I have as well as the encounters I would have with law enforcement. I'm physically disabled. Activism is a painful thing for me to do, but I believe in it so strongly that I will endure the pain. What horrifies me right now is the abusive treatment I've received from the Los Angeles Police Department. A full description of which you will be able to read in a complaint which I just recently filed in federal court. If you'd like to personally address this issue with me, I would be happy to meet with you, because what has happened to me is absolutely not appropriate for the United States of America. I want to be proud of my country, and what has been going on in the city of Los Angeles is absolutely a sin. So I don't know who I would give my papers to.
Thank you. The Inspector General will talk to you after the meeting.
Okay. I have one final card for Jose Castro. Okay, Madam President, that's all then.
Thank you, and we will adjourn to our closed session.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item numbers 10A and B in accordance with various government codes.
Don't we have a C also? Don't we have 3 matters? I said 10A and B.
We have 3.
Session item number 10A1 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item number 10A2 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item number 10A3 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item number 10B was discussed. Madam President, is there a motion for adjournment?
Will we adjourn?
All in favor? Aye. Adjourn.
Sergio in Pacoima. You are watching LA City View 35, our city, our channel.
Welcome to the 29th annual Granada.
I thought you had to introduce yourself first.
I was going to do that later.
This is Richard Fisk.
And this is Laney Caspi.
Hello and welcome.
We're from the Granada Hills Chamber of Commerce, putting on the 29th annual holiday parade.
We are. Welcome. It's the 12th day of Christmas is the theme.
This year.
And we have major icons coming this year. We have Steve Yeager.
Steve Yeager, the baseball player from
MVP, 80. I think he retired in 86, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So he'll be coming down the pike. And we have the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, which is really fun and a big coup for us here in Granada Hills. I think after it leaves us, it goes all the way to Santa Barbara. I mean, it's made a real special trip for us.
It'd be interesting to leave a trail of relish and Oscar.
That would be amazing.
Anyway, no. Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, very good.
Yeah,
and we have 14 marching bands this year.
Well, I think we have 140 different entries, right? It's a huge. This is our biggest year yet.
We anticipate about 3,500 children
marching
in the parade.
Which we're glad it stopped raining for at least temporarily. It'll get them started.
It never rains on a parade.
Unless you're in Granada Hills, California.
It's not going to rain.
It's not going to rain.
Not going to rain.
Okay.
Anyway, the parade will be starting shortly.
Okay, great.
And enjoy it.
Can't wait.
Before the parade starts, we'd like to thank our sponsors.
We would like to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, the Patriot Oil Fund is administered by the North Valley Coalition.
Dodge Brothers Automotive.
Republic Services.
Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council.
Ken Cleaners.
Andrew Van Loan Insurance Services.
Colonial Coach.
Nova Storage.
Hamer Toyota.
Law Offices of Tamelia Johnson.
Granada Hills Rotary Club. I think
Menchie's.
Law Offices of Saban and Bursk.
Granada Hills Charter High School.
And Protection Alarms. Thank you very much for helping us put this event together.
It looks like the parade is starting down. If you look